Chapter 1. Why Labels Exist. From Policy to Practice. Classification is not a mystique, it is a risk tool. The United States uses information labels to balance two needs that pull against each other every day. Protect what would harm national security if exposed, and still move enough information to let people do their jobs. The system starts with three ideas. First, a classification level tells you the harm standard if the information is disclosed. Second, access markings, compartments, and caveats stack on top to narrow who may see it. Third, need to know is the gate. Even if you are cleared, you read material only when your duties require it. In practice, labels travel on emails, briefings, server folders, and hard copies. They instruct handling, where you may store a file, what network is authorized, who can be in the room, how you destroy it when you are done. When labels are used well, people do not guess. The banner line at the top of a page names the level and any special markings. The portion marks tell you what each paragraph contains. The cover or footer shows when the classification was decided and who did it. If that sounds fussy, it is intentionally fussy. Precision avoids accidental spill, and precision collapses arguments in the moment. Across the next chapters, we will define each level, then the overlays that make some information even more selective, and we will keep the language plain. The goal is a mental router you can run in seconds. Identify the level, notice any overlays, ask if you have a need to know, and act accordingly. Chapter 2. Unclassified versus CUI, what counts as controlled. Unclassified means the material is not classified for national security purposes, but it does not mean post anywhere. A large slice of government work lives here, from public reports to routine memos. Inside that space sits CUI, Controlled Unclassified Information. CUI covers information that laws, regulations, or government-wide policies require to be protected even though it is not classified. Think personally identifiable information, export-controlled technical data, certain law enforcement sensitive details, or critical infrastructure drawings. CUI uses standardized categories and markings so different agencies handle it consistently. The effect is practical. CUI may ride only on approved networks, be emailed only with specific protections, and be stored or shredded according to published rules. If you see a document marked unclassified/CUI, read it as a do and don't list. Do share it only with those who need it for work. Don't forward it to a personal account. Do follow the storage rule that applies at your office. The harm standard for CUI is not national security, but still very real: identity theft, fraud, physical risk, or damage to systems if the wrong person gets a hold of it. One level up from CUI, the national security thresholds begin. Chapter 3. Confidential, Baseline Classified Harm Standard. Confidential is the entry point for classified information. The definition is specific. Unauthorized disclosure could damage national security. That damage standard may cover things like foreign policy positions in active negotiations, technical characteristics of a system that would be easier to counter if widely known, or the identities of personnel whose roles make them targets. Handling becomes visibly stricter at this step. Confidential material moves only on classified systems, sits only in approved containers or facilities, and is shared only with people who both hold an appropriate clearance and have a current need to know. You do not see the word clearance on the page, but you feel its weight. Access lists, badge controls, and sign-in logs become ordinary, not exceptional. Confidential is where most new practitioners learn the rhythm. Portion marks on paragraphs, read and return habits at a watch floor, and the discipline of redacting before a wider share. The best mental model is proportionality. Not everything that could embarrass an agency gets classified, and not everything classified lives at the highest level. Labels follow the harm test, not the headline risk. Chapter 4. Secret. Serious damage threshold. Secret is the middle rung, where unauthorized disclosure could cause serious damage to national security. That change in one adjective raises the stakes. Here you find operational details that, if revealed during a window of time, would put people at risk or blunt a mission. Route plans, sensor performance envelopes still in use, specific vulnerabilities paired with methods to exploit them. Secret is not rare. It is routine in organizations that touch current operations. The handling looks similar to confidential, but tighter by policy and practice. Fewer distribution lists, smaller rooms, more deliberate tracking of who has seen what when timing is acute. Secret also houses many of the documents that later migrate to lower levels when the operational clock expires. Good classification practice includes a declassification plan, so yesterday's risk does not chain tomorrow's historians. Here is the mid-synthesis to keep the latter straight. Unclassified and CUI sit outside the national security spectrum but still demand discipline. Confidential shields material whose exposure would damage national security. Secret protects information whose exposure would cause serious damage. At each step, the consequence is an action list, networks, rooms, containers, and distribution, designed to fit the harm. Next comes a label with cinematic baggage, and a myth we should puncture before it confuses the rest. Chapter 5. Top Secret, Exceptional Damage, and a Common Myth. Counterexample first. A top-secret clearance does not grant access to everything labeled top secret, nor does it unlock compartments by default. Classification level and access overlays are different axes, and rank does not replace need to know. Now the level itself. Top secret protects information whose unauthorized disclosure could cause exceptionally grave damage to national security. Think of the most sensitive current war plans, the most revealing technical intelligence about an adversary's systems, or the crown jewel methods that enable strategic warning. In practice, top secret material often lives closer to senior decision makers, and in facilities with stricter accreditation. The experience is rhythm and restraint, shorter distribution, more eyes-only copy counts, and tighter controls on reproduction. Two habits help. First, treat the banner line as your source of truth. If it says top secret, there is no just this once share. Second, separate level from overlay in your head so you do not assume that two documents at the same level are equally shareable. The next two chapters explain why. Chapter 6, SCI Compartments, Access based on Sources and Methods. SCI is sensitive compartmented information. It is not a higher classification level. It is an access control system used for information derived from especially sensitive intelligent sources and methods. Think of compartments as rooms within the top-secret house where only specific read-in personnel may enter. You do not wander into a compartment because your job is important. You enter because your duties require that specific source-derived detail. Access is documented, training is mandatory, and work takes place in accredited SIFs, sensitive compartmented information facilities, that control physical and electronic exposure. The markings tell the story. A top-secret page with an SCI marking means the information sits at the top-secret level and inside a particular compartment. That combination is why analysts who hold top-secret clearances may still be walled off from some intelligence. Compartments protect fragile collection methods so they keep working tomorrow. Caveats such as no foreign, not releasable to foreign nationals, or OCON, originator controlled, may ride alongside to spell out dissemination limits. The rule is simple. Follow the most restrictive marking on the page. Chapter 7, SAP Programs, Special Access, Fences, and Oversight. SAPs, or Special Access Programs, are another overlay. Programs that require need-to-know plus measures beyond standard classified controls. Where SCI clusters around intelligence sources and methods, SAPs cluster around sensitive capabilities, operations, or technologies whose compromise would be uniquely damaging or would endanger lives even if the basic level is already top secret. Access is tightly documented, briefings are tailored, and facilities and information systems add extra fences. Some SAPs are acknowledged. Their existence is public, even if details are not. Others are unacknowledged. The program's existence is itself protected. Oversight exists. It is quieter but real, with designated officials, periodic reviews, and reporting chains to senior leaders and, when appropriate, to cleared members of Congress. The day-to-day effect is local. Smaller circles, sharper logs, fewer copies, and a higher bar for need to know. If SCI feels like rooms inside a house, SAPs feel like safes inside those rooms. The same rules apply. Labels tell you the fence line. Your duties decide whether you cross it. Chapter 8, One Safe Handling Router, How to Read and Act. You can now translate labels into actions using one clean sequence. Step 1. Read the banner line to identify the level: unclassified, CUI, confidential, secret, or top secret. Step 2. Look for overlays, SCI compartments or SAP indicators, and assume those markings narrow access further than the level alone. Step 3. Confirm need to know. Ask whether your duties require this exact content, not just this topic. Step 4. Act on the handling rules the label implies: the network, the room, the storage, the destruction method. And Step 5. Respect dissemination caveats, such as no foreign. They are not suggestions. The closing synthesis is straightforward. Levels protect against harm. Overlays protect fragile sources and capabilities. And need to know turns a clearance into a specific permission for a specific task. The call to action is practical. Take any properly marked sample, an open training slide, a declassified memo with legacy markings, or a sanitized banner from a handbook, and run the router. Name the level, spot an overlay, describe the handling rule it implies, and explain who would have a need to know. Do it out loud once. You will find that the labels stop being mysterious and start becoming a checklist that keeps people safe, missions viable, and public trust intact.